Clint Eastwood once said he knows this isn't what you expected. Hell, it's not what I expected either. I've spent most of my life being a pretty private person, keeping my thoughts to myself unless I had something worth saying. And at my age, you learn that most things aren't worth the breath it takes to say them. But what happened to me last night? Well, I can't keep that to myself. I won't keep it to myself. I'm going to tell you something that sounds crazy. I know how it sounds because I've been turning it over in my mind since about 3 this morning, wondering if I'd finally lost it, wondering if maybe all those years squinting into the sun on movie sets had finally caught up with me. But no, this was real as you sitting there right now, as real as this podium under my hands. Last night, Jesus Christ appeared to me, twice, and when he showed me what's coming for America, I broke down and cried like I haven't cried since I was a boy. Now, I see some of you shifting in your seats. I get it. I'm not a preacher. I'm not some televangelist asking for your money or your devotion. I'm just an old man who's made movies, tried to tell stories, and done his best to live a decent life. I've never claimed to be particularly religious. I was raised with faith, sure, but I've always been more comfortable with actions than words, with doing rather than preaching. So believe me when I tell you that I am the last person who thought something like this would happen to. It started around midnight. I'd been having trouble sleeping lately, not unusual at my age, and I was sitting in my living room, just sitting there in the dark, thinking about things, thinking about the state of the world, about this country, about where we've been and where we're headed. You do that when you get old. You can't help but measure things, take stock, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't liked what I've been seeing. I was sitting there, and suddenly the room got cold. Not uncomfortable cold, but noticeable. And then there was light, but it wasn't coming from anywhere. It was just there, soft and warm, despite the chill in the air. And he was standing there, right in front of me. I knew who it was immediately. Don't ask me how, I just knew. He didn't look like the paintings. He wasn't floating on clouds or glowing like a Christmas tree. He looked like a man, a real man. But there was something in his eyes that wasn't quite human, something ancient and sad and loving all at once. He was wearing simple clothes, and he looked tired, like he'd been traveling a long road. I didn't say anything at first. What do you say? I've met presidents and queens and movie stars, but this was different. My mouth was dry and my heart was pounding so hard I thought it might give out right there. He spoke first. His voice was quiet, gentle, but it filled the whole room. "Clint," he said, and hearing my name from his lips almost undid me right there. "I need you to see something. I need you to bear witness." I nodded. What else could I do? He reached out his hand and I took it, and the moment I did, everything changed. I can't fully explain what happened next. It was like I was still in my living room, but I wasn't. I was somewhere else, or maybe I was seeing through different eyes. Time seemed to fold in on itself, and he began to show me things. He showed me America as it is now, not the America we like to pretend we are, but the America we actually are. He showed me the division, the hatred, the way we've learned to despise our neighbors over political differences. He showed me families torn apart, friendships destroyed, communities fractured. He showed me the loneliness. God, the loneliness. So many people living in crowds but feeling utterly alone. He showed me the children growing up afraid, uncertain, disconnected from any sense of meaning or purpose beyond the next post on social media. He showed me the greed, the way we've turned everything into a transaction, a commodity, the way we've valued profit over people, efficiency over compassion, winning over understanding. He showed me how we've poisoned our own discourse, how we've learned to communicate in sound bites and outrage instead of conversation and nuance. And then he showed me the churches, and this hurt to see. He showed me churches more concerned with their own power and influence than with actually following his teachings. Buildings full of people who show up on Sunday and live like pagans the rest of the week. Preachers getting rich off the gospel while the poor go hungry. Faith reduced to a political weapon instead of a transformative way of life. But that was just the beginning. That was just showing me where we are. Then he said, "Now I'll show you where you're going."
And that's when it got worse. He showed me an America 10, 20, 30 years from now, if we stay on this path. He showed me cities where people don't even speak to each other anymore, where everyone lives in their own digital bubble, their own curated reality, never having to encounter anyone who thinks differently. He showed me violence, not war necessarily, but everyday violence, casual cruelty, a coarseness of spirit that had become normal. He showed me families that weren't families anymore, just people sharing addresses. He showed me children growing up by screens, their capacity for empathy and connection withered before it could fully develop. He showed me a generation so anxious, so depressed, so medicated that they moved through life like ghosts. He showed me the land itself, the beautiful land I've spent my whole life filming and celebrating, poisoned and depleted because we couldn't be bothered to care for it properly. He showed me communities that had given up, that had surrendered to despair, where hope had become a luxury nobody could afford. He showed me democracy, the thing we've always been so proud of, reduced to a hollow ritual, where people went through the motions but nobody really believed anymore, where power was just something to be seized and held, not something to be exercised responsibly for the common good. And then he showed me faith, or the absence of it, not just religious faith, but faith in each other, faith in institutions, faith in the possibility of a better tomorrow. He showed me a people who had lost their sense of purpose, who had forgotten what they were supposed to be doing here, what this American experiment was supposed to be about. As I watched all this, something inside me broke. I've seen a lot in my life. I've played tough guys, outlaws, men who faced down evil without flinching. But this was too much. Tears started running down my face, and I couldn't stop them. I didn't even try. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked him. My voice was shaking. "Why are you showing this to me?" He looked at me with those eyes, those impossibly deep, sad, loving eyes, and he said, "Because it doesn't have to be this way. Because there's still time. Because I need witness. I need people who will speak up, who will tell the truth, who will remind others of what really matters." Then he disappeared, just gone, like he'd never been there. I was back in my living room, sitting in my chair, tears on my face, my heart breaking. I looked at the clock. Only a few minutes had passed, but it felt like I'd been gone for hours. I sat there for a long time, trying to process what I'd seen, trying to convince myself it wasn't real, that I'd fallen asleep and had a particularly vivid dream. But I knew better. I knew what I'd experienced. I finally got up, went to the kitchen, made some coffee. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning by then. I stood at the window, looking out at the darkness, drinking my coffee, feeling hollowed out and ancient. And then he came back. This time there was no dramatic entrance, no light show. He was just there, standing next to me at the window. If anything, this second appearance was more unsettling than the first because of how ordinary it felt. "You're troubled," he said. It wasn't a question. "Of course I'm troubled," I said. "You just showed me the end of everything I love." "I showed you one possible future," he corrected gently. "Not the only future, not the inevitable future." "Then why show it to me anyway?" I asked. "Why put me through that?" "Because comfort is the enemy of change," he said. "Because people need to understand what's at stake. Because sometimes you have to see where the road leads before you're willing to take a different path." We stood there in silence for a moment. Then he continued, "You know, Clint, I walked your earth for 33 years. I taught, I healed, I tried to show people a different way of being. And the core of everything I taught was simple. Love one another. Take care of each other. Don't get so caught up in your own concerns that you forget about your neighbor. Don't let fear and hatred rule your hearts. Choose compassion. Choose mercy. Choose grace."
I said, "No." He agreed, "You're not, but you could be. That's what I need you to understand. That's what I need you to tell people. The future I showed you, that's what happens if you continue down this path of division and hatred and selfishness, but it's not inevitable. Now, you still have the power to choose differently." "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "I'm just one person. I'm just an old actor. What could I possibly do?" He smiled then, and it transformed his whole face. You do what you've always done. You tell stories. You bear witness. You speak truth. And you trust that others will hear and respond. Change doesn't usually come from the top down, Clint. It comes from people like you, ordinary people who decide they're not going to accept things as they are, who decide to speak up even when it's uncomfortable. What should I tell them? I asked. Tell them what you saw. Tell them what's at stake. And tell them this: it's not too late. It's never too late to choose love over hate, unity over division, hope over despair. Tell them that I haven't given up on them, and they shouldn't give up on each other. Tell them that the soul of this nation, the soul of any nation, is in their hands, in their daily choices, and how they treat the person next to them. And they won't listen, I said. People don't change. Some will listen, he said, and some of those will act, and their actions will inspire others. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. You don't need everyone, Clint. You just need enough. You just need the remnant who still remember what matters, who still believe that something better is possible. He put his hand on my shoulder, and I felt a warmth spread through me, a warmth and a strength I hadn't felt in years. I'm asking you to be brave, he said. I'm asking you to speak even when people will mock you, even when they'll say you've gone senile or crazy. I'm asking you to risk your reputation, your comfort, your pride for the sake of truth. Can you do that? I thought about it, really thought about it. I thought about what people would say, how I'd be ridiculed, how this speech right here would probably be the end of whatever legacy I'd built. But I also thought about what I'd seen, that terrible, heartbreaking vision of America's future. And I thought about my children, my grandchildren, all the young people who deserve better than what we were leaving them. Yes, I said, I could do that. He nodded, squeezed my shoulder one more time, and then he was gone again. This time I knew he wasn't coming back. Not last night, anyway. I've spent the rest of the night and this morning thinking about what to say to you, how to explain this without sounding like I've lost my mind. But I've decided I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I don't care if this ends my career or ruins my reputation. What I care about is telling the truth as I experienced it. America is in trouble, deep trouble, not because of any one political party or any one policy or any one person. We're in trouble because we've forgotten how to be neighbors. We've forgotten how to listen to each other, how to disagree without demonizing, how to find common ground without compromising our principles. We've forgotten that we're all in this together, that we sink or swim as one people. We've let fear and anger become our default emotions. We've let social media and cable news teach us to hate people we've never met. We've let our political differences become more important than our common humanity. And we've convinced ourselves that this is just how things are, that there's no alternative, that we're powerless to change it. But that's a lie. We're not powerless. We're never powerless. Every single day, we make choices about what kind of people we're going to be, what kind of communities we're going to build, what kind of country we're going to leave behind. And those choices matter. They add up. They create the world we live in. Jesus showed me what happens if we keep making the wrong choices, and it broke my heart. But he also told me that it don't have to be that way. We can choose differently. We can decide right now, today, to be better, to be kinder, more compassionate, more forgiving, more willing to listen and understand. I'm not telling you to change your political beliefs or your religious convictions. I'm not qualified to do that, and it's not my place. What I am telling you is simpler and harder. Love your neighbor. Take care of each other. Choose grace over judgment. Choose conversation over condemnation. Choose hope over despair. That's it. That's the message. It's not complicated, but it's not easy either. It requires daily practice, daily discipline, daily choice. It requires putting down your phone and actually talking to the person next to you. It requires seeing people who disagree with you as human beings, worthy of respect, rather than enemies to be defeated. And it requires taking responsibility for your corner of the world instead of waiting for someone else to fix things.
I know I'm old, I know my time is limited, but I want to spend whatever time I have left speaking this truth. We can do better. We must do better for our children, for our country, for our own souls. We must choose a different path. Last night, Jesus wept for America. He wept for what we're doing to ourselves, for what we're doing to each other, for the future we're creating through our division and hatred. But he hasn't given up on us, and that means we can't give up either. I've made a lot of movies about tough guys who face impossible odds and somehow find a way to win. Well, this is the real thing. This is our moment. The odds are against us. The easy path leads to destruction, and most people think it's already too late. But it's not. It's never too late to choose different. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Choose differently. Choose love. Choose unity. Choose hope. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Not because you'll see immediate results, but because it's the right thing to do. Jesus came to me last night and showed me what happens if we don't change, and I cried. I'm not ashamed to tell you that I cried like a baby because I saw the death of everything I love about this country. But he also gave me hope. He told me it doesn't have to be that way. He told me we still have time. He told me to tell you. So now I've told you. What you do with it is up to you. Thank you for listening.